Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody, Militia Man and Crew. Hey, I just want to get with you guys tonight. It is November 10th, and I hope everybody had a great day, of course, and I hope that you guys are excited as much as I am. Look, we've had really powerful information. But I want to set the stage, too, is that we've been talking about the deletion of the zeros for a long time. And we all know that Al-Alaq, the central bank governor, has told us that he was going to launch a digital dinar. And not to mention, he's also reiterated that the deletion of the zeros project still exists. And there's a awesome article out. I'm sure everybody got it early this morning, and so it's nothing special to you at this time, or I should say special in the sense that I'm bringing it new. It's just that, yes, of course, early in the morning everybody was excited, but the bottom line is, what does it mean? The Iraqi dinar without zeros. The Central Bank of Iraq launches a historic reform by Dr. Subie Jabara. Okay. And so who is this Dr. Subie Jabara? He's a professional, his background. Dr. Subie Jabara is an Iraqi economist and a financial analyst with over 30 years of experience in banking, monetary policy, and economic development. He holds a PhD in economics from the University of Baghdad and has served in senior roles, including advisor to the Central Bank of Iraq and consultant for international organizations like the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and Middle East financial reforms. And he did that on financial reforms. He's known for his work on currency stabilization and fiscal policy in post-conflict economies. Okay, his key positions. Former Deputy Governor of the CBI, 2004 to 2006, during the post-2003 currency transition. So they're framing it that as a time frame, 2003, and here we are, quite a long time later, but bottom line, he's been around. Current independent economic advisor and frequent contributor to Iraqi media on topics like exchange rates and reserve management. Iraq's been talking about their reserves. They're talking about their gold. They're talking about how much money they have. They talked about the fact that they have $112 billion in reserves. Well enough to cover them for many, many, many months. So, his expertise. His expertise specializes in real effective exchange rate adjustments. Isn't that interesting? At this time, this is the person that's talking to us. Non-oil diversification, so we're talking about non-oil revenues. Isn't that this whole plan that's been going on for all these years, is to get Iraq into a free market, into the international global market with the private sector? Hence are privatizing their banks. They do all these different things, e-governance, the IQD system, and all this stuff is for what? It's right there, non-oil diversification. And anti-corruption measures in banking. So what does that reek of? It reeks of new technologies. Isn't that what the world's going towards? Anti-money laundering law, counter-financial terrorism, all of that stuff. Anyway, so this article starts off, the Iraqi dinar without zeros. The Central Bank of Iraq launches a historic reform. The Central Bank of Iraq has officially confirmed that it is moving forward with its long-awaited zero, end quote, project, a massive financial reform that will fundamentally reshape the country's economy and its standing on the global stage. So they did it for a purpose, and they're working towards that purpose. In a series of statements, the central bank governor emphasized the project's not mere speculation, but a concrete initiative that has generated considerable enthusiasm and interest in international financial circles. So this guy with 30 years of experience is reiterating all of the things that Militia Man and Crew have been talking about. You can find us on patreon.com and our Discord chat room, and you can find this data. I think you guys go through all my videos, you're going to find the same stuff. It's it's fascinating to watch. And I'm pretty pumped because the fact is that I feel like I'm been vindicated in so many different ways. But anyway, this move, which has been subject to rumors for years, like, you know, on YouTube, the internet, all those different places, you know, you find that, all right, it's currently under active development with comprehensive studies and simulations having been completed. According to the governor, the process will be gradual and meticulously planned to ensure financial stability while unlocking the currency's true potential. So what if Iraq's been completely stable for the last 2 years? Since that last immediate, okay, revaluation. Hence, I used the word today. It's what happens when they do it. It's effective immediately. Okay. So for years, the Iraqi dinar has suffered from a decline in its nominal value as a result of decades of conflict and economic instability. The current exchange rate, hovering around an unofficial rate of about 1,415 dinars to the US dollar, forces citizens to carry large amounts of cash for their daily transactions and complicates international trade and investment. Hence you're not seeing them using the dinar in massive trade. They're not doing it. It's not on the Forex. Anyway, the 00 project, or delete the zeros, zero the zeros, project was designed to address this problem by simplifying the currency and aligning it with the country's strong economic fundamentals, including robust oil revenues. Iraq's got about 140 to 145 billion or more barrels of oil. So expanding gold reserves, as you guys know, we talked about this recently, that they went from X to Y, and now they're getting closer to Z, right? Because they're adding gold. But since the year of 2025, I think the accumulation has been about 8.2 tons of gold. And they're at what? I believe 171 tons, maybe really close to that. And they're deepening trade partnerships with global powers such as China, the United States, and the European Union. While the central bank has been careful not to commit to a specific timeline, they're not specific timeline. They don't commit to it. Of course not. The confirmation that the project has begun marks a pivotal moment for Iraq. The project has begun. Isn't that a fascinating term? That project has begun. So they're underway doing this. This represents a transition from post-war recovery to a new era of economic independence. It says here the signs of reform. What are they? Or how will removing zeros work? Question. The phrase removing zeros may sound alarming, but it is a standard monetary policy tool known as a currency revaluation. It's not a confiscation of wealth, but rather a recalibration of the currency's nominal value. In essence, 1,000 old Iraqi dinars will become 1 dinar, 1 new dinar. Crucially, all prices, wages, and savings will be adjusted proportionally, ensuring that the individual's purchasing power remains stable at the moment of the shift. The real shift occurs in the subsequent adjustment of the exchange rate. The central bank has developed several scenarios. Don't forget that part. I'll read it again. The real shift occurs in the subsequent adjustment of the exchange rate. The central bank has developed several scenarios with internal studies predicting that the floating dinar could stabilize automatically at a value in the distant future between 3.22 and 4.25 dinars to the dollar. Isn't that interesting if they talked about the previous era? Isn't the previous era around 322? And they're also saying that it might even be more than that suggestion. This gentleman is. Okay. The governor clarified that these figures are not a declared rate, so it's not a declared rate, but rather an indicator of the currency's potential if it is allowed to float freely based on market demand and Iraq's economic fundamentals. All right. Iraq's fundamentals. In the past, it was based off oil fundamentals because they had a filthy amount of oil during the time frame in that previous era at 322. And what have they done now? They've diversified and they've added non-oil revenues. Okay, it says two main paths are being considered for the next phase. So economists close to the central bank indicate that both options remain on the table. So there's two options, both are on the table. The choice will depend on the government's strategic priorities, whether it favors a gradual, market-driven adjustment or a swift and a decisive reset. Two paths, both on the table. Either path would trigger one of the most significant currency transformations in the modern Middle East. That is powerful, you guys. This is, I mean, when you unpack it and you break it down, it's phenomenal. The economic driver. Why is now the right time for a stronger dinar? The timing of this reform is not coincidental. The Iraqi economy is at an evolutionary turning point. I would say so. The country's fiscal position has steadily improved, driven by several key factors. Firstly, strong oil revenues. Big time. As a leading producer in OPEC, Iraq's steady oil revenues provide a stable foundation for its economy and a strong support for its currency. Growing gold reserves. The central bank is actively expanding its gold reserves. A traditional safe asset that enhances monetary stability and international credibility. International credibility, I like that part. Deepening trade partnerships. Iraq has developed strong trade relations with major global economies, including China, the United States, and the European Union, right? Diversifying its economic interactions and reducing its dependence on any single partner. Despite the strength, the nominal value of the dinar has lagged, widening the gap between the official exchange rate and its true value. That little bit there, and its true value. Each time Iraq's GDP grows or its foreign reserves increase, this discrepancy becomes more pronounced. The 0-0 project, as they call it in this article, we call it the delete the zeros, and that's what the central banks called it. But I like the 0-0, so 0-0 is awesome. This project is the mechanism to close the gap, allowing the currency to finally reflect the country's true wealth and economic process. True wealth is based off real fundamentals. It's not just based off some number they picked out many, many, many years ago, and even over 2 years ago. 1310 is not a real effective exchange rate. And I think if you guys really do your own research, you're going to find out and be blown away that I'm not wrong. Maybe you won't be blown away, it would be a good thing. This reform is expected to have profound, okay, this is big. This reform is expected to have profound global implications. Revaluing the Iraqi dinar would boost regional investment, as a stable and strong currency would make Iraq a more attractive destination for foreign investment, thereby fostering economic growth throughout the region. Here, look how many countries are coming to Iraq to invest. They get it. They already know this stuff. This is why this is really powerful, is because they already know this. And they're already showing that by contracts and MOUs to the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars. That's how big this is. Okay, next thing, reduces dependence on the dollar. Yeah, right? So if the dollar is significantly less than the dinar, it's going to reduce the reliance, that's for sure. So it says, by repegging its currency to a diversified basket of currencies or commodities, Iraq can reduce its reliance on the US dollar for oil settlements, a move with significant geopolitical implications. Fascinating. Isn't that crazy? I just caught this. It can reduce its reliance on the US dollar for oil settlements. What are they going to be doing? Are they going to be changing the value of their currency and they're going to be allowed to sell oil in dinar? We shall see. A move with significant geopolitical implications, like I said. Okay, next thing, inspires monetary reform. This is what this does. It inspires monetary reform. Okay, it says it could inspire neighboring economies to reassess their monetary structures, potentially triggering a wave of fiscal modernization across the Middle East. So in other words, as we've always said and heard, to an old dear friend, all boats rise with the tide. For Iraq itself, this is more than just an economic adjustment. It is a step towards a historic fiscal renaissance, signaling Iraq's transition from post-war recovery to a future of economic independence and self-determination. Yeah. A new chapter for Iraq, the way forward. The central bank governor has emphasized that this reform is not a rash or hasty move. Every step is carefully measured, documented, and designed to maintain stability and public confidence. How many times have you heard me talk about confidence? Not only are they talking about the public, but lesser than, we're talking global confidence, banking confidence, monetary confidence, all those different things. Investors needed the confidence, global ones. Yeah, they needed the confidence, and hence that's why they're there. That's why we're seeing all this, is because Iraq has done what she needs to do. While the precise implementation timeline, so in other words, we're not giving you a timeline, right? Remains confidential, right? No kidding. Isn't that what we've been talking about? They can't say it. But anyway, remains confidential. The confirmation that the project has commenced and the preliminary studies are complete. Really, that's what it says. Preliminary studies are complete. Well, it indicates that implementation is closer than ever. The good doctor's his article, not mine. When the reform takes place, whether through a gradual float or a sudden restructuring, like a swift reset, because remember what the deputy governor said, we're not going to float. What's the other option? Okay. It will permanently alter Iraq's physical identity. So I'll read that again, sorry. When the reform takes place, whether through a gradual float or a sudden restructuring, it will permanently alter Iraq's fiscal identity. The phrase, removing zeros, end quote, as simple as it sounds, represents one of the most ambitious and complex financial engineering projects in the country's modern history. The central bank is not just changing numbers, it's redefining how Iraq interacts with the global economy. That is very, very powerful to me, because it's effectively defining exactly what they're going to do. They're going to redefine how Iraq interacts with the global economy. Well, Iraq's not, Iraq's currency is not interacting with the world. Not on a trading level, they're not. They're using all of the SDR basket, the IMF. They're using countries' currency like that. But earlier on, they talked about reshaping the Middle East and how they restructure things. Well, didn't we talk about the Arab accounting dinar at the AMF? Al-Alaq was a board member, almost at the top, I think, possibly. Anyway. And then after he left the central bank the first time, and then he comes back, and he's removing the zeros like he's talked about. It's amazing. It's amazing. The world is watching closely. Yeah, I think so. The potential shift in the dinar's value, with projections ranging from $3.22 to $4.25, or $3.22 to the dinar, and $4.25 dinar to the dollar. That's big. That's a previous era. Okay. It has captured the attention of investors and economists and governments worldwide. This is not just an economic story. It is history in motion. As Iraq stands on the precipice of this financial transformation, the message is clear. The nation is ready to transcend its past and write a new chapter of prosperity and strength. I have a feeling you guys will take that as a reality, because this is what we've been talking about with Militia Man and Crew for the last few years. And so the bottom line is that this is what they've told us, and we're going to have to watch and see how that transition is, because they've told you they're confidential information, which is rightfully so. So we're going to watch and see. So we're going to keep an eye out and see how this goes. There's an election tomorrow, by the way, in Iraq. And you guys notice too that it's fascinating that the United States government might be back up and running once again within, who knows, but tightly. The talk chatter has been, is it done this minute? I have no idea. But anyway, the bottom line is what they're talking about, and this doctor with his experience tells me that there's legitimacy. There's legitimacy to the article today. And that's why we at Patreon with Militia Man and Crew in our Discord chat room, Super Samson and Gigi and Brian and everybody else in the team. Just want to say thank you guys all, and to all you community. If you like my content, hit the like, subscribe, and don't forget turn your notifications on so you can pay attention, because when something unfolds, we're going to give it to you. And thank you again for all your help. All those donations help a great deal, even the smallest amount. PayPal is the place to go, and we appreciate it. So thank you very much, and good night. Have a good one. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.